As we mentioned before, Grounded by the Farm is running a few of our favorite episodes from our first season as we take a short break in between season 1 and 2. This first episode we're rerunning is one we did with Matt Helms of Ella and Ollie Popcorn of my current hometown in St. Louis. I'm not going to lie to you guys, I've had a chance to do a little bit of work with Matt as they had an opportunity to get a test market here with a supermarket called Deerberg's in the St. Louis area over the last couple of months. And it's been really exciting to be able to go into the grocery store and find a product that we featured here on Grounded by the Farm. You can still get it on the website. And for those of us who love some of the specialty shops who've always served Ella and Ollie, they have it still, whether that's at a drive-in theater that you may be going to or a specialty shop in a quaint downtown area that's just so perfect for gift giving. All of that is going on. You might also notice on my personal Instagram, I've been playing with different oils and salts and all of those things. Recently got some chili oil from Pastoria della Wine, and it has been amazing with popcorn. You only need a little bit of it, right? And it just gets a little bit of a different flavor to it. Also had some beautiful Kalamata and rosemary salts from Nathaniel Reed Bakery. So I've been playing a lot. They're doing some of that on the website. They're talking about different oils and things. You're going to really want to up your popcorn game as you listen to this episode. Let's go ahead and get started. Food is more than just what's on our plate. It's the places where it's grown, it's the people who grow it, and so much more. Join me, Janice Person, your host, on Grounded by the Farm every other week as we talk about the foods we love. Oh my gosh, I love popcorn, and just thinking about it has made me want more over the last few weeks as I set up this interview, as I got the tour of the farm, and as I got the actual interview captured. I think my popcorn consumption has increased pretty dramatically. That gives you a lead in on what we're talking about today. We're going to be talking with Matt Helms, who's a longtime friend of mine, who only recently decided to return to the day-to-day on a family farm as he wanted to start growing popcorn. The brand they set up is called Ella and Ollie. It's named after his daughter and his grandfather. Really gives a combination of sort of in the future and in the past. And quite frankly, you'll hear that shapes a lot of what Matt has in mind as he does this new business venture. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Don't forget to check them out on Facebook, Ella and Ollie Popcorn, and online, their website is ellaolliepopcorn.com. And as always, love for you to check out our site, groundedbythefarm.com. You'll see a variety of information, including, hopefully, some of the video and information I learned about moisture on popcorn and harvest. You and I have been on farms together so many times. I think we've been on cotton farms. We've been on your family farm even. So do you mind let's start by telling where your family farms and sort of what is it that you do, because farming isn't your day job.
That's right, Janice. We've been on a lot of farms and had a lot of fun. My family farm is about 16 miles just east of the St. Louis Arch in southwestern Illinois, a town called Belleville. And actually, that's where our ancestors that came over from Germany in the 1850s settled. So it's a corn and soybean farm, a little bit of wheat. We've had purebred Angus cattle since 1903, still have some of them. Our family's just been farmers, really, on both sides, both the Helms side and the Stutz side from my mom. Got the trunks that came over on the boat from Germany.
Oh, wow.
They're flat trunks. I learned that if you're business class or first class,
They
it's
can
a
be
rounded
rounded?
trunk, right? Ours was not rounded, Janice. It was a flat trunk. So our family was coached from Germany.
I understand totally. So we're going to be talking about popcorn today. You said your family grows all these great grains. You didn't mention popcorn.
I didn't. That's the new venture on our farm.
How did you
in
guys
the
get
last
started in that?
3 years. So, as you said, my day job, the last 20, 22 years, I've worked in agriculture, grew up passionate about it here in St. Louis. And our whole family's been entrepreneurs. They've taken risk, and not working directly on the farm daily, I wanted to figure out I feel like I'm inferior to my brother and my ancestors. I need to try to do something to take on a new business and a level of something new and different. So I thought, what would that be? I came down to 2 or 3 concepts. One was grass-fed Angus beef. We have Angus cattle. The second was popcorn. And the third was actually something different about a piece of property that we have with some leadership development type of endeavors. When I really thought about it, I just really asked myself, well, what do I really like? And it was simple. I love popcorn. I mean, I grew up with my grandpa Stutz, my mom's father, eating popcorn in their farmhouse just south of Belleville. And
Nice.
I have the memories. My wife loves popcorn. My daughter, Lily Ella, loves popcorn. And just at the most simplistic piece of it was we just love popcorn. I've always loved growing plants and crops.
Yeah.
I've been more of a crop and plant person.
Yeah.
When I was
Instead
in
of
college
animals.
and my friends and we were looking at different companies, whether it was animal-related jobs or equipment or plants, I've always enjoyed growing crops and plants. So I kind of just simply looked at those things. And the other thing is popcorn's fun. I wanted to do something fun, so you're
risky but fun.
Think about it. I still remember like the pot in my grandparents' stove and sitting in the living room with it pretty well dark except for my grandpa's light on, watching Hee Haw or The Joker's Wild and eating that popcorn. Those are like savory moments.
I can tell you, though, as you talk, it's funny because my childhood memories of popcorn, we had a babysitter who would bring popcorn balls.
Oh, yeah.
My gosh, it's like popcorn and sugar all rolled into one fantastic treat.
Oh, yeah.
And Dixie knows to this day. I'm like here decades later, and when I see her, I'm like going, dang, I wish I had some popcorn balls, because it leaves such an impression. And I, like you, remember it on the stovetop.
Yeah.
Right? So your popcorn business, how are you doing that? And are you doing that harken back to old time or microwave, or what are you doing?
The first thing for us was we wanted to provide a quality product. So we looked at different popcorns. My daughter we had some friends and family over, and we did a little blind popping sample party. And we came up with, there was a particular heirloom variety that rose to the top very high with everyone. So that's what we started out growing. And that's been our signature.
How old is your daughter that she's doing product development?
She loved it. Oh my gosh. She got so excited creating this market research survey that I still have saved on my computer and passing them out to everyone and then collecting the results. But, that's what we did. We came back after year 1 and going into year 2, same thing.
Yeah.
Took this heirloom and we I reached out to 3 or 4 of the leading breeders of modern hybrids, and we had those popcorns, looked at the characteristics, and we decided that we wanted to offer a high-quality product, which is what that sampling little party of family and friends did. We grow it on the farm, and we condition it. We hire an expert that can clean it so that we're, presenting a high-quality product, and then we're not selling popcorn yet, maybe someday in the future, but it's really kernels in a really nice glass jar. That's important to have a high quality. We do like the sustainable packaging and the delivery of it. Mm-hmm. And it just stands out as being different. And it's something, again, that we're trying to, at the end of the day, trying to create a new little experience for a lot of people that in today's world, a lot of people haven't popped popcorn outside of the microwave. And
I know,
it's really
it's
cool.
amazing. Yeah.
I get text messages from people or Facebook messages when they try our product. I mean, I had one a few months ago from someone who just said, hey, my kids have never seen popcorn pop. We just made it on the stove. It reminded me of popping it with my mom and dad.
Yeah,
I just love that.
A glass lid is a lot of
yeah.
fun too, right? Like the glass lid on the stove, so you can see them as they pop. Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. We're having fun, and what I really enjoy, I love the history of our family, but I enjoy bringing a product to connect with other business people.
Yeah.
Everyone that we work with is an independent business person. We can find the owner, or we work with the owners, and we can tell a story about our farm. And we're 16 miles from St. Louis, so we have a neat market right here in St. Louis, but we also sell on the internet and other places. But it's a great experience for our 10-year-old daughter, Lily Ella, who's part of it. Don't force her, but she loves to go out there and help hand harvesters that will sell for the microwave or package things up or go on sales calls with mom or dad.
Oh, how fun.
It's a great experience. Love it.
So you mentioned Ella and you mentioned your grandpa and stuff, and I think that leads me to the name of the company.
That's right. So the name is Ella and Ollie Popcorn, and again, we were thinking about some different brands, and what I liked about this was it's a little bit of the past and a little bit of the future, and whatever that future may hold. My brother and my sister and I are the 6th generation of our family farm.
Wow.
My nephew, who just came back to the farm, and then Lily Ella are the 7th generation, and then my sister and brother-in-law have 2 sons that would be 7th generation, but they have an operation in a different part of the state.
Yeah.
So what I think is neat, and it's no disservice to all the generations of just raising corn, but we have a unique opportunity being close to this market to present a high-quality product to businesses and people to have a different experience.
Yeah, I think I was really close to your farm. There's a place called the Cahokia Mounds. Isn't that pretty close?
It is.
I remember you can see the arch and part of the skyline when you get up high, right?
That's
when
right.
you get up on top of the mounds and stuff. So it's proximity is amazing. So you mentioned just cooking it on the stove as a kid. What do you put on your popcorn, either as a kid or how are you doing it now that maybe is a little bit different?
You can use any kind of oil you like. We use extra light olive oil. We just like the properties of that from a health perspective, and all the different oils have their different claims. When we really want the true movie-like experience at home, we do coconut oil. That's what a lot of the movie theaters will utilize. Yeah. I'm either very straightforward with just salt, or I've created a little bit of a blend of a seasoning salt like a Lowry's, but not quite, blended with salt, about a 50-50 ratio. And those are my 2 go-tos.
Yeah.
Now, we are going to be expanding here with some, not a lot, but 3 or 4 signature seasonings. My wife, Michelle, has taken that on. We've selected them, but we've been busy doing some other things. But here sometime in 2020, we're going to she has truffle oil on the list. Her go-to is truffle oil.
Oh, yeah. That's decadent. That's good.
And then the white cheddar for me. So now I will tell you, last year for Thanksgiving, I made popcorn as an appetizer, and we popped it up. Okay. Then I spritzed it with olive oil. Then I basically put an Italian seasoning and oregano and thyme on top. I put it in the oven, 450 for about 5 or 6 minutes to make that olive oil nice and crispy. Oh my gosh.
I think I buy some of those Italian seasonings down at Viviano's and stuff on the hill.
It's phenomenal. But that's the fun part of it. When I find a restaurant or a food, I kind of stick with it. But just a fun experience like that, people were like, what is this? And we had to make 2 batches for Thanksgiving last year. So that is the fun part of it.
Yeah.
I like the fun, the farm, the family. It kind of all goes together with popcorn.
I'm totally on board with that. It's funny because I noticed I have a bottle in the kitchen, and I'm like, yeah, I think you've refilled that. I bought the burlap bags last year for Christmas gifts, right? So you had some nice holiday kind of setups, and they were really popular. But I bought extra in case, those gifts you never know whether you're going to need. I actually got to keep some of them. So
excellent.
I've refilled my own. Exactly. Can you tell me what makes popcorn pop?
Well, sure. It's basically there's a certain level of moisture in the kernel, and that's a key piece here. Is we make sure that we harvest and then dry to the right moisture level. You want it to be about 13.5% to 14.5% moisture.
Okay.
And then when you heat it up, that steam then creates the kernel of the popcorn to open up and explode, and that's what makes the popcorn pop. It's the heating of the popcorn kernel itself. To get the maximum level of popping and the maximum expansion, that 13.5% to 14.5% moisture is the, quote, sweet spot. So that's something we monitor the fields a lot, and we're doing right now is actually this year with the late planting.
Yeah.
And we just harvested about a week ago. We're having to put a little air dry to get about that last point of moisture down to make sure that we have a good crop. But that's how it works. I mean, you're heating that oil up to 350 degrees, and that's what makes it explode and pop.
That's pretty cool. I've seen those slow motion videos. I may have to put one of them on the website, right, where you can see the popcorn popping and stuff. It's really different because can you tell me, since your family grows both, what are some of the physical characteristic differences or some of the other pieces? Corn made for tortillas is a little bit different.
All corns are from the same genus. It's really different subspecies. That would separate field corn, which is most of the corn when you're driving on the interstate or the road that you see. And most of that corn, it's going to be taller. It'll be bushier. The cobs and the kernels that are on there will be bigger. And it'll produce quite a bit more yield. It'll produce about 3x of the yield of what popcorn would. And most of that corn that's grown in the U.S. goes toward ethanol fuel additives or livestock feed, by and large. And that's what we call field or dent corn. And then you have white corn as an example, and that's really grown for tortillas.
Yeah.
It's a similar type of kernel, not quite as dented, but it just has more nutritional characteristics for a human to eat.
Different flavor profile, too,
Different
I think,
flavor.
right? Like a lot of people stop and see corn on the side of the road in the summer and think they'll grab a couple of ears. And if it's not a sweet corn or something, they get grain by accident. They think, wow, that doesn't taste so good. Cows love it, though.
Yes. That's right.
Chickens love it.
Yes. And then you mentioned sweet corn. So sweet corn's another subspecies. And that's what most people think of just corn when they don't realize that there's all these different versions because we're going in the grocery store or the farmer's market or the stand in June, July, and getting sweet corn. And sweet corn's just another subspecies, but it has a higher sugar content.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, the yield is less than the dent corn. And then popcorn. I mean, popcorn originates back to Mexico, like thousands of years ago, and a lot of the genetics go back to the origins of this subspecies of Zea, corn.
I was going to say
smaller
teosinte
kernel.
And stuff. I've got pictures that it's smaller than my index finger.
Yes, it's a smaller kernel, a smaller ear, and a harder shell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that harder shell kind of keeps that moisture in a little bit better and lets it kind of explode into action. So you said there was this market research that you did and you were looking at different hybrids and heirloom varieties. I have had some popcorn recently that is not yours, but every time I'm eating it, it's like it's stuck in the gums or stuck between my teeth. You told me hybrids and varieties have an impact on that. So help me understand, because everybody else is now going to think about hybrids and varieties every time they eat popcorn the way I've been forced to.
You bet. So what you described, that piece of the popcorn that gets caught in between your teeth or in your gums, is called the hull. And that is part of the actual kernel and how well and how thick it is on the actual popcorn, how much of it resides. And there's a rating. So when you look at popcorn hybrids or varieties to purchase, there'll be an index of 1 to 5 on, is it does it have a lot of this hole that could stick in your teeth and gums,
things
or
you didn't
lower?
Know.
But yeah, the popcorn, what you look for is you want something to, in general, be kind of light and fluffy. In general, everyone has different tastes, light and fluffy. You'd like to have a good volume. So when you put a half a cup of kernels in your 6-quart pot, it almost fills it up, as an example.
Right.
And then it's low on the hull.
Right.
And those are the characteristics. And then there's different types of popcorn. There's a different type of popcorn that you may have at home or in the movie theater versus like the gourmet shops that make caramel corn or cheddar popcorn, as an example.
Some of those are like beautifully perfect kernels every time they pop, right? Like they always have the perfect photographic kind of popcorn.
They do.
So those are also different varieties and hybrids probably.
There's really 2 types of popcorn. Like I mentioned, there's butterfly. So at the movie theater, or if you're getting a jar of kernels for your home, it's called butterfly because there's these appendages and it's irregularly shaped, and it actually helps catch the salt in your favorite truffle oil or whatever you're seasoning, and maybe a little butter every now and then, right?
Yeah.
But it helps catch all those things. But that's called butterfly popcorn. And then the perfect ball almost shape that you may see at a cheddar or a gourmet shop with caramel corn, etc., that's called mushroom, and that's the ball type. So there's 2 distinct categories.
Nice.
Our heirloom is mostly a butterfly popcorn. This year we did plant 3 additional hybrids. So we have 2 mushroom, we have 1 modern butterfly, and then we have the signature butterfly as well. And even though we've done our own market research, there's other customers that have other needs. A lot of people would rather buy from someone locally within about 50 miles of where they live. I will take samples to people. They will do their taste testing, and then I can grow it for their business.
Oh, wow.
And so some of our retail shops that we're going to be getting into in the next year, that's what we've done. And we'll have some mushroom. We have a couple of movie theaters, etc. And it's really exciting.
That's cool. How many years have you been doing this? What does that success curve look like? Because what you're talking about, okay, well, we just tested with some friends, like see what they like, and then we planted it. Now you're saying, and we're planting like 3 other ones.
This is funny because this is our 3rd year right now in 2019 that we just harvested a week ago.
Wow.
In 2017, we planted a couple of acres. Then we scaled up a few more acres last year. Literally, as we're sitting here right now, Janice, I am down to under a few cases of inventory that we need the new production to come online with. We significantly ramped up to the tune of about 20x the volume. My wife, Michelle,
Wow.
and daughter Liliella are like, what are we going to do with that? And I'm like, oh, we got to talk to the sales department. Oh, yeah, that's me too, and us. So here's the fun thing. What I love about it, though, is we are in this space right now of we're actually kind of seeing what we can do. And that's the cool part. We're
Yeah.
exploring and we're learning. We definitely produce more volume than we have customers today, but you can't sell it unless you have it. So that's my
Right.
model right now.
Right.
My hope is that we're going to have another incremental growth above the 50 acres that we grew this year.
Yeah, 50 acres from 2 acres, a couple of acres.
Yeah.
For me, I've always lived in the city. Other than when I lived in a really small town, I still had a city-size lot. For a lot of us, an acre, we don't even have an idea of what that is, but it's like a football field without the end zones. And so that's kind of the space of an acre. And you're saying you planted 50 acres of popcorn. To me, that sounds like a heck of a lot of stovetops. Right? Because I only put like a handful in, and I'm thinking that's a lot. So you're talking tons of popcorn or pounds of?
I generally talk in pounds,
Okay.
but it would equate to tons.
Okay. How do you store that, or what do you
Yeah.
do with that? I mean, you're not picking it all by hand.
We actually put up some bins this year and poured a concrete pad,
Okay.
and we put up some bins to store this year's crop, plus a crop that would be roughly 2x the size. So not just planning for today, hopefully there is some
Yeah.
future growth. We put that up in July, August timeframe. We're storing it there, and then what we do is we have a very high quality individual that has what they call a laser optical eye sorting machine.
Oh,
We
I think
take
I've
our
seen
popcorn.
these.
It's the coolest thing ever. So literally, a laser eye will look at every kernel. If it's cracked, defected, or if it looks like there's a little miscoloring on it, like the sign of a little bit of mold, it'll kick them out. And you look at this popcorn when you harvest, and you're like, "Boy, that's so beautiful." And then you run it through this machine, and it just
And
it
then
makes it
You
even
look
more
at those
beautiful.
rejects and you go, wow, that
That
was in
was
my
in there?
popcorn.
Oh my gosh! Trying to provide a local, homegrown product, but from
Really
a very high
quality.
standard.
Yeah.
Okay. And the individual has a business that is related to popcorn. It's worked out real well. Also, a local person. So that's what we're doing. So now we've got a pile of popcorn, and we have some new customers, and we're going to see how many more new ones we can get.
Since we were talking about the farming side, and you mentioned, some of the issues you've had recently, what is like the biggest challenge you faced on your farm? And I don't know if it's, yours or if it's shared across your family or something, but we're talking about pretty good days on the farm, but they also not the greatest days. So have you had a big challenge in the last couple of years as you kind of go into this business?
It's just a learning curve. I don't know if it's a significant.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of fun. You learn by doing.
Yep.
And there's so many resources. You can just find information and connect with people. And some of the people I've been able to connect with in the industry all across the U.S. have been phenomenal resources, but you don't know until you try. This year, Mother Nature delayed us a little bit. I don't know. On the challenging side, I don't know if I would put anything from raising the crop in that bucket. I think the challenging side is it's interesting when you interface with the market, and sometimes people will say that they desire or want local food. I think it's actually just really finding the segment who values and stands behind those desires for locally grown quality food.
Yeah.
And I think that's, without going into details, I think some people, and this is more at a business level. So that's
yeah,
not
no,
right.
I
It's
think that
more
happens in every part of
sometimes,
the business, right?
it's you knock on a door and an organization may tout, local food. And when you kind of really see the inner working, sometimes it's like, well, I'm not sure if they do or not. And it's
Yeah.
about whether you get a shot at the business.
Sometimes
To me,
the scale really helps a business, right? To have a larger scale and do those things. You
Yeah.
can do things a little differently and local. It does usually come with a bit more of a price tag because you don't have the benefit of scale to put those costs over.
I think it's navigating and learning about the market
Yeah.
and the segments of the market that's the most interesting. It's a challenge, but it's interesting. I don't know. We're learning about the crop this year. We planted late. We're learning now how to do a little bit of the air drying. We were chatting right before we started here.
Yeah.
But in the big picture, that's not the big challenge. The big challenge is honestly figuring out how you manage the cycle because you produce a crop once a year. And in growing a new business without an established base, managing how you produce, what hybrids you select, and then it's the supply and demand, right. of that. But that's why we put up our bins. That way we can flex a little bit and we can go out and see who likes our product.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. I think you'll also learn this year on the flavorings.
Yes.
You'll start seeing who goes with Michelle's truffle oil versus, I have a friend who's made me truffle salt a few times, and let me just say, I think I'm on Team Michelle. Before we head out, I want to tell people how to find you and how to find Ella and Ollie online as well as here locally for those of us who are in St. Louis or
You
people
bet.
who are traveling through.
Yeah, we're in about 25 local retailers in the St.
Nice.
Louis metropolitan area, and it's just we need a little more time, but every single person that we partner with from a retail perspective is an independently owned business owner, and almost everyone, if you walk in their place, you'll see the owner working inside the store, which I love. I love.
Yeah.
So I can't go through all
Gift
of them.
shop and food vendors, and you've got a good list on your website.
Yes, EllaOlliePopcorn.com is the website.
Yep.
We're also on Facebook if you want to like us and kind of follow some progress throughout the year. We are partnering with the Chef Shop in Edwardsville, Illinois, a gourmet shop, and supplying all of their popcorn locally grown.
Oh, nice.
It's the largest and highest quality gourmet shop in the St. Louis metropolitan area.
Yeah.
And we have a couple movie theaters, but I'll kind of hold off until we get those announcements ready, but in the St. Louis area as well.
That's awesome. I think for me, watching your Facebook page has been fun because every once in a while I see what your daughter Lily Ella, you guys are up to. Every once in a while she goes with you on a kind of in-store kind of activation or something, and she looks like she's having a great time.
Oh my gosh, I got to tell this quick story. So literally the very first day we called on a retailer, it was Bauman's Meat Market in Brentwood. I said, Lily, let's go. What are we going to do? She was all nervous. And we took some jars. She has her own business card.
Nice.
And she has an email that forwards to Michelle or me. But we went in there and we introduced ourselves. And then I always ask her to either talk about our popcorn or our family farm. And she'll carry on a couple, sentence conversation. And so we gave them our sample. Then they were smoking some wings that day, some chicken wings. So they gave us chicken wings. And literally, when we drove by Bauman's here in the last couple of days, she brought that up experience. They didn't say yes right then. They wanted to try it.
Yeah.
But she's like, gosh, Dad, that was so much fun. We gave them a sample and talked about it, and they gave us one, and those wings were great. So then she was like, let's go on some more sales calls. So it's great experience. You don't get told yes all the time, and that's great experience too.
Yeah, and she's saving some money for college, I think.
Absolutely. You bet. No, we
make it a developmental experience that adds to the college account or something.
Absolutely. We let her, like on Saturday, she and I were hand harvesting some ears that we'll have for a new offering for microwave ears to pop. But that was her choice. She, quote, clocks in and clocks out and keeps us honest with what the minimum wage is to pay.
That's great.
But it's great. We're all learning and we're having fun, and it's great being connected to the family history. At the end of the day, and the back of our label does talk about it, I personally am enjoying the challenge because I feel like I spent the first 20 to 22 years of my life working in other businesses, and I had a safety net or a salary. I still have that because this is not my full-time job yet.
Yeah.
But I can now at least at a small level, kind of relate to the variables and the risks and the things that may not always go right farming, and the respect for all the generations that came before our generation.
Yeah, where they didn't have as much cushion as maybe some of us have built with professional careers.
It's unreal.
And they're really trying to stake out a claim.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate the conversation. This was fantastic. Now I want some popcorn. For everybody, don't forget it's EllaOlliePopcorn.com and Ella and Ollie Popcorn on Facebook. I'm going to put a lot of that stuff in the show notes on the website so that you can see the family and see some of the plants and stuff. Thanks so much for coming on this show. I really appreciate it, and I hope that this helps grow your business some more.
Thanks, Janice. It was a pleasure.
If you've made it this far, I hope you're going to take the time, share this episode with a friend of yours who may love popcorn as much as I do. I'm thinking I'll get in touch with Dixie. It's a great excuse. Also, if you wouldn't mind leaving a rating and a review, that will help more people find it, and quite frankly, it'll give me the motivation to keep going. We'll be back every 2 weeks with new episodes of Grounded by the Farm. Thanks, and see you soon.